Hey guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com. Today we're driving one of my favorite cars, the 2018 Mercedes-AMG E63s. So what does the S give you? A twin-turbo V8 producing 603 horsepower. So this is definitely a car. Let's test out the power here. Car's all warmed up. Sounds amazing, right? Why can't all turbo engines sound like this? AMG, they don't care. You know what? Turbos sound like vacuum cleaners. We don't care. We're going to make it fantastic. Every other manufacturer, it's going to sound like a vacuum cleaner. Now, this has the seats that kind of hug you in the turns, which I actually don't like because my ribs are bad from breaking them years ago in hockey. So, to me, it feels uncomfortable, but I know most people love it. So, we got the sport exhaust on this car. You definitely want an E63. You want an S for the extra horsepower. You want the sport exhaust for the sound. That's why you buy this car. This is actually aftermarket paddle shifters. I've seen this on, I think it's aftermarket, on several AMGs. And my complaint, we just got out of a 992 Porsche 4S, which was a lovely car, but it doesn't scare me like this car does. Both of them I'm considering as my possible daily drivers in about 16 months from now when my lease is up on the M340i Drive. Can you believe that? We got less than a year and a half left on that car. I typically like used cars instead of new. I bought the BMW, quick story, during COVID, so the lease price was excellent. That's why I did it. But this would be a perfect real estate car. Thank you, DCH Acura, for allowing me to review this car and the 992. They support us, guys, support them. They always have about 80, even in this pandemic, about 80 sports cars in stock, anything from AMGs to C8 Corvettes to Lamborghinis and a ton of Porsches. They have a whole bunch of 992 Porsches that you could buy today, a C8 convertible that you could buy today, and obviously new and used Acuras. So support them, they support me. Thank you. And how can you support me real quick? Like, share, and subscribe. The more subscribers I have, the more cool cars I can review. Let's get me to 20,000. All right, so this is a car I'm definitely considering. Why? Because it's 4 doors. Since I'm a commercial real estate broker, we haven't had people in our car in about almost 2 years, but we will at some point. So obviously it would be better than 992, and obviously people would just think it's a Mercedes and not necessarily, oh, this guy drives around in a Porsche. But while you're buying this car, is this sound. Now, it's a torque converter automatic, so it's not a true dual clutch. So you see when we upshift, there's kind of a delay there because its job is to smooth out the shift, not necessarily make the fastest shift. Wow. That's just the keys or something wrong. I just my sunglasses, I'll take them out of there. So the handling is pretty good for a heavy sedan. Obviously, it weighs over 4,000 pounds. And it does feel at least a size bigger than my M340i Drive. That's a 3 Series, so it's based on the C-Class. This is an E-Class, so it is based on the M5 size. But this car just pulls. Now, you don't buy this car for gas mileage. I see it's averaging 17.2, and that probably is a lot of highway. It reminds me of the gas mileage I averaged with my E90 M3. But this car is fantastic. You could get, if you don't get the like the sport bucket seats, they're real like racing seats, you can get the hot massage seats, where it's amazing, especially from playing hockey. I always have problems with my lower back, and this car can give you an amazing massage. So we're gonna pull over in about 2 minutes, maybe 3, and we'll go over the interior, exterior. On the way back, we'll hit those roads. So right now, first driving impressions, gorgeous in here. You got this, I forgot what this is called. This is called like ash wood or something, and it's really gorgeous. You can get carbon fiber, you can get the regular, your standard type of wood, and it just makes the cabin feel real rich. I mean, these cars are about maybe 130, 140 new. You want to get a wagon, it could be as high as 180,000 new. Oh, I'm sure there's a way to shut the seat off, but it's like punching me in the ribs. A lot better than your E60 M5 did, so a lot better. It's just that I have bad ribs, so I'm a little more sensitive to it. Steering wheel is really nice, great grip, you can adjust it. I love these gauges, and you can play around these gauges. So you could do classic gauges, you could do like futuristic gauges, and that's what I love about this car. And this car, you know, it's a great highway car. We're driving in automatic mode now. So far, the shifts are pretty good. Again, it's not a dual clutch. It's a torque converter automatic, so it is smoothing out the shifts for us. Now, I did have a couple AMGs with the dual clutch, and they were very good. The CLA 45 and the GLA 45. The newer versions of that were much better. The 14 I had, CLA, wasn't as good. All right. So now we'll pull over in the parking lot here and we'll look at the exterior and interior. So here we are outside the 2018 Mercedes-AMG E63s. We got a 9-speed automatic. We got a twin turbo V8. We're producing 603 horsepower, all-wheel drive, center lock wheels, unless that's a cap that comes off. Let me know in the comments. Drilled rotors. Pilot Sport all-season tires. So I love the Pilot Sport 4S, but they are a summer tire. This is an all-season tire. Beautiful interior. It's an E-Class, so you got a huge back seat. Great for my real estate clients. Big trunk. Looks great in this. So this is the S model that gives you the extra horsepower. Definitely want an S. You got the nice spoiler here in carbon fiber. I like it's got that, must have the black package, because the black package blacks out all the emblems. It also gives you, I had this on my CLA 45, I loved it. So this is optional, the carbon fiber mirrors. Again, black logos, black wheels, so black package, looks great. Black front grille. So they changed it for 2020. You got the big grille and a little bit of a softer ride. This is the 2018, so this is the grille that I like. All right, so let's take a look at the inside. These are all your safety features. Do we need lane keeping? No. I don't know what that is. Steering, so keep you in your lane, no. Now, I look to adjust my seats by pressing down here. The seats in the Mercedes are always up here. So here I'm adjusting them up, down, any kind of support I want. We can go through all the menus here. And the drive button for drive neutral is here, and the parking brake is here. So completely opposite of a Porsche. The Porsche or the parking brake would be in the middle. You'd have your gear shift lever there. They're both here near the dash on the Mercedes. The stop start button around the side here. Radio controls, big, huge, more integrated instead of looking like an iPad that's stuck on. We're more integrated here. You can play with the different settings. Cruise control is kind of all the way down here. This is your adjustable, how you adjust your steering. It's power. You can do any kind of adjustments. You can go through the different gauges and screens. Let's see what we can do here. So we have the sport exhaust, auto stop start, which will take off, cameras. So this, I believe, there's an optional 360 view camera. You can go through them basically like a mouse scroller here, so we can see everything in front of us, behind us. I believe, like the Porsche, we can even drive with that camera on. So it's really cool having all these settings. And then we can even play around with the gauges, so we can do different modes here. So comfort, sport, and race. So we'll try to, we're not gonna do race because like 20 degrees out and I don't think the tires will be properly warmed up. When I take it in race, I kind of do an individual where I put in the softest shock setting. So there's a medium setting, just like the EDC for your E92, and then the hardest setting right there. And then what we can do is we can drive in manual mode. Now we actually have to shift. All right, so we're in first. We're gonna have to shift 9-speed automatic. So it is not a dual clutch. Here your lock and unlock button, your mirror controls, everything is down there. Trunk release, hood release. All right, so let's take it back. All right, so let's go. Now we're in Sport Plus mode, so, wow. So now, how does this big heavy car handle? These turns are gonna be tight. So we're gonna see, so far it's giving me the downshifts. Sometimes these torque converter automatics, they don't give you the downshifts unless they have to. They're like, hey, that's crazy, and they really hesitate. Got a great heads-up display. I don't think it's gonna come out with this sun glare, but you can see the RPMs, you can see what gear you're in, you can see the speed limit, and then the speed that you're going. So we have total control so far over the automatic gearbox. Now we just drove these exact roads in the 992 4S convertible, and the suspension was a lot smoother. So we're in comfort mode right now, but it's very stiff. So something to keep in mind, because you probably would only be buying this car as a daily driver. This particular car has 31,000 miles and it's for sale today. Just contact Tim at DCH Acura. All right, so we don't have the ceramic brakes here. How can we tell? Because we had red brake calipers. So those are street brakes. The Mercedes doesn't have yellow like Porsche. It's like an orangey color. And some of the E63s we did in the past had those ceramic brakes. I don't really like them for the street, so I would want the steels. All right, so we're in first gear now. Got 9 speeds. So Could be a little jerky in first gear, so we're going to go into second. And we're going to accelerate, go back up the hill. Now remember, this is all, it only comes in all-wheel drive. And the all-wheel drive is to get the power to the ground, but Mercedes 4MATIC is actually really good in bad weather. So this feels like I'm driving a muscle car. And actually, this car, I bet, handles better than the muscle cars your dad was driving back in the day, or who knows, maybe your grandfather was driving back in the day. The exhaust sounds amazing. Only Mercedes can make a turbocharged car sound good. GT3 sound good, but they are not turbocharged. All right, so let's see. Big A-pillar here, so it's a little hard to see. Obviously, I'm going to feel this weight. It doesn't feel as light as the 992 did, and it weighs a lot more than the 992, but you know what? For what it is, it's pretty tossable. So I would say, judge on the cars in this class, the M5 and the Panamera handle a little better, a little more agile, and hide the weight even better, but this does a pretty good job. So you buy this car if the first thing you're looking for is sound. I think if you want handling or occasional track day, and I still want to do it because they're way too heavy, then you get an M5 or you get a Panamera. Remember, Panamera is only a 4-seater. This and the M5 are 5-seaters. One advantage to me that the Panamera has is a hatchback, and just for my hockey gear, I prefer the hatchback. But that's me. So this is great, this car. Again, the only downside is if you ride in rough roads like I do, a big downside and something I'd really have to think about is just even in comfort mode, the ride is pretty stiff. But for a stiff ride, you can get massage seats, you can do hot massage seats. There are a lot of things you can do to counteract that. I wouldn't want to commute to New York City or drive on the Cross Bronx Expressway with this car, but if you have some smooth roads, this would probably be my first choice for a daily driver. Way more visceral than the M5, way more visceral than my M340iX drive. Now see how we hit those bumps, how hard they were? We drove the 992, we barely felt them. And again, I actually like these paddle things, I'm sure come off, but you can actually extend the paddle shifter here. So you got, it's easier to feel. It's connected to the steering wheel. Typically, what I found with it, when it's on this steering column, not the wheel, then the paddles have to be big because your hands could be turned and you got to reach for that where that paddle is. And then if it's connected to the steering wheel, so it turns when you do, then obviously they're usually smaller. So the 992, the M5, my M340iX drive, they're all connected to the steering wheel, so they're smaller paddles. I believe the Ferraris I've reviewed, they were to the steering column, which I actually prefer, and then they're extended like this. And this also helps you see them. All right, so there's no downside to this car. I don't like the seat pushing me into my ribs, but I'm sure there's a switch for that to turn it off. This car exudes luxury. I mean, these cars are big money, especially if you want the wagon. The wagons even used are 120, 130,000. They're probably 180,000 new. There's definitely a premium for the wagon. There's special orders. They're rare, about 200 or so a year. But you can get a much better deal if you want a sedan. Sedans are in the 80s right now. You can get one for under 90 grand. And it's a lot of car for the money. It really is. And it'll have a pretty decent, the newer Mercedes have much better resale values than the old ones do. I don't think this is going to be a $30,000 or $40,000 car anytime soon, like say the 2014 models were. But there's a lot of luxury here. It's a little bit of a sleeper, which is kind of good. Like if I had clients, they probably wouldn't know that this car had over 600 horsepower. So that would be probably great for my real estate business. You got all the safety features here. These controls you get used to in a minute. The drive and the reverse and the seat control, so that's no worries there. It has a fantastic stereo system. I can't play it for you. I couldn't monetize it, but I would definitely, this is definitely a front runner, a used one like this for my next daily driver when my BMW lease is up. All right, guys, thanks again for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again to DCH Acura. See Tim for all your Acura needs and for all your sports car needs. He always has about 80 sports cars in stock, even in this market. Thanks again for watching, guys. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.